tat
tat
kirtim
kirtim
hanti
hanti
tvacham
tvacham
eva
eva
amaya.
amaya.
Amaya is leprosy. Yan namani chagranati
Yanamani chagrinati
loko britye kritagasi
loko britye kritagasi.
so sadhu vadas tat kirtim
So sadhu vadas tat kirtim
hanti tvacham ivamaya.
anti tvacham ivamaya.
Yan namani chagranati
Yanamani chagrinati
loko britye kritagasi
loko britye kritagasi.
so sadhu vadas tat kirtim
So sadhu vadas tat kirtim
hanti tvacham ivamaya.
anti tvacham ivamaya.
Yan namani chagranati
Yanamani chagrinati
loko britye kritagasi
loko britye kritagasi.
so sadhu vadas tat kirtim
So sadhu vadas tat kirtim
hanti tvacham ivamaya.
anti tvacham ivamaya.
Go for it.
Yannamani cha grihnati Yannamani cha grihnati Loko britye kritagasi Loko britye kritagasi So sadhu vadas tat kirtim So sadhu vadas tat kirtim Anti tvacham ivamayaha Anti tvacham ivamayaha
Yannamami chakranati
Yannamani cha grihnati
Lokka bhritye kritagasi
Loko britye kritagasi
Sadhu vadas tat kirtan
So sadhu vadas tat kirtim
Anti tvacham ivamaya
Anti tvacham ivamaya Yannamani chagrinati Yannamani chagrinati Loko britye kritagasi Loko britye kritagasi So sadhu vadas tat kirtim So sadhu vadas tat kirtim Hanti tvacham ivamaya Hanti tvacham ivamaya
Yannamani chagrinati
Yannamani chagrinati
Loko pritye kritagasi
Loko britye kritagasi
So sadhu vadas tat kirtim
So sadhu vadas tat kirtim
Anti tvacham ivamayaha
Anti tvacham ivamaya
Yet
Yet
of
Yet
whom
of whom
namani
Namani
the names
The name
cha
Cha
and
and
granati
Granati
take
they
lokaha
Lokaha
people in general
People in
people in general
Britye
Britye
when a servant
When a servant
when a servant
krita
Vita
agasi
Agasi
has
Agasi
committed something wrong
has committed something wrong
saha
wrong
Saha
that
that
asadu
Asadu
vadaha
Vada
blame
Blame
tat
blame
of that person
of that person
kirtim
Kirtim
the reputation
Reputation
hanti
Hanti
destroyers
Destroys
tvacham
Tvacham
the skin
The skin
eva
Eva
as amaya
Amaya
leprosy.
Leprosy
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.
A wrong act committed by a servant leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin. Purport. A Vaishnava therefore should be fully qualified. As stated in the Bhagavatam, anyone who has become a Vaishnava has developed all good qualities of the demigods. There are 26 qualifications mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. A devotee should always see that his Vaishnava qualities increase with the advancement of his Krishna consciousness. A devotee should be blameless because any offense by the devotee is a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee's duty is to be always conscious in his dealings with others, especially with another devotee of the Lord.
Wow.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadatmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutav Padakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya
Devam.
Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakantam Shah He Krishna Krishna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshri Rishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare.
Namo Shri Padre Krishna Krishna Bhutale Shri Nityananda Hare Goswami So if a servant does something bad, it's reflected on the master, and people blame the master. So we've gotten the greatest opportunity to do the best thing, devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what's most needed by everyone. The whole world is lacking, not in food, water, money, shelter, whatever, but the whole world is lacking in Krishna consciousness. So we've been given the greatest rarest necessity of life to give to others, and in a place where everyone's envious, everyone's materialistic, everyone's forgetting of Krishna. So it's our duty to give that to others, and if we give the wrong impression of that, then it makes a big problem, because people, we're supposed to be the devotees going into the materialistic society to give them Krishna consciousness, and they already don't like Krishna. Most of them are envious. Some of them are just ignorant. So they already have all sorts of hang-ups. And then if we add on to those hang-ups by, leaving some really bad impressions, so like cheating people, then then it makes a bad impression on society, and it makes a problem. Like Srila Prabhupada says, it leaves a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because then people think, oh, Krishna and all this Krishna stuff is bad, because this guy was bad. Like we see when the devotees back in the day were going to Hare Krishna Airport and the Atlanta Airport, and when they were just doing book distribution everywhere, someone came up with the bright idea to do this thing called the change up, where I guess, if you can't distribute the book on the merit of the book, or just distribute the book, and maybe you get a little lazy and you want to try to get some extra money to like give some more books out without actually making some like sane, somewhat Krishna conscious endeavor for that money, then you just think, well, maybe if I can just steal some money from people, then I can distribute some more books. And yeah, it's great that if more books are going out, but not at the expense of sanity. Like not at you shouldn't act stupid in order to get more books to go out. Maybe a little stupidity is there. Sometimes we might make some stupid joke. We might do some stupid thing to sneak into some place, something like that. But Srila Prabhupada has so many instructions on this topic of don't be foolish. His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami has a whole playlist, or a whole playlist of lectures called "Don't Be Foolish," where he goes over some of these instructions. And now there's a new graffiti artist in Atlanta, for those who aren't here, and you can see on different bridges and walls and wherever else they spray paint graffiti, he writes, "Don't be stupid." So that also applies in Krishna consciousness. So if a devotee is acting stupid, they might think, well, let me just steal people's money in some absurd way, and then I'll be able to distribute more books. But Srila Prabhupada was not pleased with this at all, and he told the devotees that one thing was they were getting kicked out of the airports, and Srila Prabhupada said, this was because you failed to respect the businessman. So they didn't respect these people who, they're going into these businesses to distribute the books. And of course, it's respect should be given where respect is due. So it's not that someone lives like a dog and you respect them like a demigod, but at least, you don't like physically harm people and steal from them and these kind of things. They weren't physically harming people when it wasn't required, but they were stealing the money. And the thing with the change up was the devotees would go and say, do you have a change for 100? And then the person would go, oh yeah, I guess so. And then the person gives them, like a bunch of 20s, $100 worth of 20s. And then the devotee goes, No, okay, so I got a bunch of ones on me. Can you give me can you give me like 100 or some 20 so I don't have to carry all these ones? They go, okay, and they give you $100 bill, and then the devotee goes, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh, can I just give you 20 back? And like something like that. And so they just do this whole switcheroo. They get the person's $100 bill and then only hand them like $20 or $50 or
That's
something.
crazy.
And you can see on Krishna Tube, someone's uploading all these historical Hare Krishna videos on this YouTube channel, Krishna Tube, and you can see ABC or NBC or whatever did a whole news segment because the devotees were leaving such a bad impression. They weren't behaving properly. It's you know, there might be some level for some trickery. Someone saying like, "Oh, I'm so interested in like Mayavad and how we're all one and I'm God," and then you can be like, "Perfect! You will love this Krishna book." And on every page of the book, it's saying, "You're not God, you rascal." But so it's a little tricky, but at the same time, it's totally legitimate because one, he will love that book. If he just will, because he's an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's who that book is made for. He's the target audience. So in that way, it's a little tricky, but it's true. But something like just flat out, stealing, lying, being a debauchee, there's not really room for that. And Srila Prabhupada was very displeased with those devotees. You can see different letters and things that he wrote about that. But he was saying that the devotees should always be honest and straightforward. They shouldn't compromise they shouldn't be seen as dishonest by the public. Otherwise, that'll make an impediment to the Krishna consciousness movement. That's how he was explaining it to them. So we shouldn't be seen as dishonest by the public for the sake of, it's probably not pure devotional service if you're being that much of a nonsense and stealing things from people. So there's probably some false prestige mixed in there and whatever else. So for the sake of our false prestige, we shouldn't become dishonest in the eyes of the public. And so a devotee has to act properly because then people will get the proper idea of that person's master. Like on the other side, this person I met at the mall just last week, he was checking out the Sapta and he was a Christian man from Atlanta. And he was saying, well, why don't you come to church and blah, 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 blah. And so I asked him if he could get me new shoes because my shoes were busted. And he was saying, no, no, no. But then as he was walking away, he was like, actually, let's see if that store is still open. And he went with me to try to get new shoes, but it didn't work out. He couldn't use his card there and anything. He tried though. So later he was texting me and he sent me some sermon that he did in his church where he's saying like, the only thing I talked about with him when I was with him was thou shalt not kill, so why do you kill animals? And he kind of turned his gears about it for a little bit and thought about it. And so then he sends me this video where he's preaching at church. He's saying, God says, love thy neighbor. And it was a funeral or something. So he's like, cousin Marty, he passed away, but he was a good man. He used to take care of many animals. He had cats, dogs, and goats. And so I texted him. I said, wow, this is such a nice speech. But what about love thy neighbor? And, you're saying this person cared for his animals. So why kill some animals and not other ones? Like, aren't those animals also your neighbors? And so he's, doing his whole Christian nonsense thing. And then I just boiled it down to just being practical with him. I was like, so, because he accepts that you can live off of other things than meat. It's like, if you can live without, having to cause extreme suffering. I just asked him, why cause extreme suffering to others by, paying for animals to be tortured and killed just for the, pleasure of your senses? And then his reply was that because God allows it. So then I told him, it makes if you're acting bad, it makes a bad impression on your master. So I told him, if that's what your church is going to teach me about God, then I don't want to go. It sounds low class and degraded. I told him that. I was hoping it would make him emotionally feel bad because he wants me to come to it. Yeah, he probably didn't care, but so like that person's making a bad impression. Whatever God that is, it sounds like a terrible so-called God. They're saying, God allows you to torture other living entities to enjoy your senses. So I don't want to know that person. But religion means to know God and to love Him. So I want to know who actually is God, and we see He's not like that. He's actually very sane. he's not insane like the Christians make him sound. So that was one example of the servant making the master sound bad, or two examples so far. So we see if the servant is acting badly, then it reflects badly on the master. So a devotee is supposed to have all good qualities. There are 26 qualifications mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It'd be nice to read those. I know there's in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, that'd be awesome. I pulled up this in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna talks about the divine qualities. No, I don't know if those might not be exactly the same as the qualities of a Vaishnava.
He says 26.
He said 26. So then in the Bhagavad Gita, here's some other good qualities. I'll read those while you find it. This is Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, text 1. I'll read the English because it's a long verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violent. And keep in mind, these are qualities that we're supposed to have. These are qualities of godly people. Devotees are godly people. So we're supposed to have these. Non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with the divine nature. So we should see these qualities developing in us as we advance in devotional service. Otherwise, that advancement might be material. Because as we're making advancement in devotional service, we should be gaining the qualities of a devotee. Let's see. Okay, I was just seeing if Srila Prabhupada mentioned any other thing in the purport related to it there. But so we're supposed to be developing those qualities and then acting based on those. And then if we're not, it makes a very bad impression. So I'll read a little more in the purport. A devotee should be blameless because any offense by the devotee is a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee's duty is to be always conscious in his dealings with others, especially with another devotee of the Lord. So that's what we've heard a lot about this whole chapter, and the devotees have probably spoken on it enough, that this mad elephant offense is the worst thing because it stops one's devotional service. But as far as...
I don't know,
Did you find it?
No, I see the 25 qualities of Radharani.
Whoa.
I don't know. For some reason, I'm like,
Just read those.
you want, I mean,
No, there's
has unlimited number of which 25 are principles.
that's different. There's different qualities of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya and his associates that are mentioned there. But.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but the point is, a devotee should have all good qualities, and some of those are the ones that we had just read there. Actually, you can hear an interview where Srila Prabhupada is speaking about this with somebody, some non-devotee person. I think he might mention it also in his interview with George Lennon and Yoko Ono and John Lennon, Yoko Ono, and George Harrison. But he has one of the devotees read out these qualities of a devotee, and as they go over them, the person who's listening to Srila Prabhupada, they kind of laugh because it sounds funny, because these are all like perfect qualities, and they're saying one of them was that he's sane, and I remember they laugh a little bit after that. So a devotee's supposed to be sane. There's other things in there that are more or less explaining how he's a perfect person. And so the materialists, they were laughing at this because it sounds odd that how can someone actually have all these qualities? It sounds far-fetched. If someone asks you, well, what are you trying to do in life? And you read out to them these qualities, I'm trying to have these, and saying like purity of existence, saneness, all this, an ordinary materialist might be like a little bit annoyed. They might be a little thinking, okay, this person's pretty puffed up. He's thinking he's going to be pure and sane and have no bad qualities and all this. But this is actually the qualities a devotee is supposed to gain.
This is book though, Prabhu. 26 qualities of a devotee.
Thank you.
I don't know, you
So-
might want to read some of it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So a devotee, they gain all these qualities through devotional service because those qualities are already there in the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full. Krishna has no bad qualities. You can read his qualities in the Nectar of Devotion. None of them are bad, even if there's some sort of ghastly aspect that he displays, or something angry or insulting or condescending that he does or whatever. It's actually perfect and pure. So everything he does is full of all good qualities. So naturally, the devotee who's serving him, they also gain those qualities. Krishna explains that in the Bhagavad Gita, that the as one is engaging in devotional service, they get the same nature of him, the same quality as him. Let's see. I'll find the verse real quick. Let's see.
The son takes on the qualities of the father, spiritual master, disciple.
See, there's one explaining how the devotee gets the same qualities of the Lord. We see that in the Bhagavad Gita, that there's Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text 9. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. There's that one speaking how they attain his abode, but there's one explaining how the devotee also gets the same qualities of the Lord. Okay, I think it might be here. Sorry, I can. It's in that 4th chapter. Dang, where is it? Do you know this verse? Okay.
Bhagavatam?
No, in Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, Krishna explains how the devotees who are engaged in his service, they attain qualities like his. Well, oh well. But anyway, since the devotees are serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they gain qualities like the Supreme Lord. So it's understandable that they'll also get all these perfect qualities. Even though for a materialist it sounds so far-fetched, because the non-devotees, they have no good qualities. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahad gunat. They're devoid of any good qualities, actually, because they might have some wealth, some strength, some intelligence, but then it's all stolen away by illusion. They become a maya prakrita jnana. They have some great intelligence to be a scientist, and then they, instead of figuring out how to solve all the problems of life and get out of the material world or do anything productive like that, they spend their intelligence to write many textbooks on how birds reproduce or something like this their whole life, and then they just become a bird in the next life. So no good qualities, actually, because they're all squandered by illusion, by the material energy. But a devotee, they have all the good qualities of the demigods, because they're engaged in the person whom all those good in the service of the person who all those good qualities are coming from. We have this book here that I was handed by Navanihoda Prabhu that might say the qualities of a devotee. Oh, here it is. It's in the we have this book, Vaishnava Behavior, the 26 Qualities of a Devotee, from Satsvarup Das Goswami. And right here in the table of contents, they're all there. The 26 qualities of a devotee is merciful, kripalu, is not defiant, akrita droha, is truthful, satyasar, is equal to everyone, sama, is faultless, nidosha, is magnanimous, vadanya, is mild, mridu, is clean, shruchi, is without material possessions, akinchana, performs welfare work for everyone, sarvo pa karaka. And that welfare work they're performing for everyone is not that they go and spend all day feeding homeless people and, or ordinary food, and then clothing homeless children and then, making all sorts of medical institutions and giving charity to the Save the Environment Foundation and all these things. But they're doing the supreme welfare work, not the welfare work that puts people into the illusion of thinking, yes, I am the savior and these people are being saved and I'm good and they're not okay and this material world can actually be a comfortable place for people to live in. Not the welfare work that keeps people in the material world, but para upakara, the supreme welfare work of engaging everyone in their natural position as an eternal servant of the Lord, and then they can solve all the material problems, get out of the material world. Is peaceful, shanta, is surrendered to Krishna, Krishnaika Sharana, is desireless, akama, is indifferent to material acquisition, aniha, is fixed, stira, completely controls the 6 bad qualities, vigita shradguna, eats only as much as required, metta bhuk, is without inebriation, apramata, is respectful. Yeah, he's without inebriation, like we were hearing in the Prabhupada class yesterday. Srila Prabhupada was saying, you have to give up this intoxication. So we might think, oh, he's talking about the hippies on LSD. But no, he's saying you have to give up the intoxication of beauty, good birth, good education. Janma, was it? Janmaishvarya Shuto Shri. Beauty, good education, good birth. I'm thinking, I'm born in America. I'm born near the beach. I'm such a great guy. Or someone's, I'm very beautiful. I can attract someone. Or someone's saying, I'm so smart. I can, solve any problem. But Srila Prabhupada is saying, people are so intoxicated in this material world, in this bodily concept of life, in this subtle body, platform, in this mental platform, bodily platform. They're so intoxicated on it, thinking, I'm so great. Me and this temporary body that I have, and temporary mind that I have are so amazing. And like this, they become intoxicated. They can't think properly. They're so enthused by their so-called material qualities that they can't even think. And we see this throughout all the Vedic texts also. There's so many amazing personalities, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or in Indraprastha at Maharaj Yudhishthir's Rajasuya sacrifice or anywhere. And all these different things we're reading. There's so many elevated kings, pious brahmanas, spiritual saints, all these great personalities. And Krishna's there. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is there. He looks like, his Adi Purusham, the original person. He's got all those qualities. He's beautiful. He's got the peacock feather, lotus eyes. He's effulgent. He's clearly not ordinary. But still, even though so many personalities are there, avajananti mam mudha manusham manusham tanam ashritam. There's still foolish people that deride him when he descends in his human-like form, thinking that he's an ordinary man. Even when he's there, so many demons, but even the non-demons, even the nice people that they invite. I was reading in the Mahabharata, and Purna Pragya Prabhu's translation of the Mahabharata, the Rajasuya sacrifice is going on. Maharaj Yudhishthira has invited everyone. Everyone's already submitted to Maharaj Yudhishthira. They've paid some sort of taxes or they've been destroyed in war, defeated. So everyone's there. All these great kings, some of them are very pious, some of them are not so pious, but there's many elevated souls. Narada Muni's there, all of these brahmanas, everyone that you hear about in the Krishna book, they're all there at the Rajasuya sacrifice. And they all accept Maharaj Yudhishthira is the emperor, and they're worshiping him. And there's no problem. It's great. But then Shishupal, being a rascal, nonsense, non-devotee, he just starts saying the most heinous things. He's saying, how can you offer the first worship to Krishna? You're insulting all of us. You invited all these great kings here just to insult them by offering the first worship to this boy. And so that was the beginning of it. But he goes on and on like a complete madman, actually. And it's Krishna's desire that he does that. It's Krishna's arrangement so that Shishupal could make up to the limit of how many offenses he's allowed to make and then be killed. But while he's saying this, it's explained there that all these Kshatriyas who were there, some of them start to go along with it, which is insane. It's like, this is clearly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's so many great devotees there with him. Bhishma's there, Narada Muni. Shishupal is even insulting Bhishma like anything, just straight blasphemy against the grandsire of the Kuru dynasty. He's giving such crazy insults against him, calling him like, saying that he's a Kshatriya, but he's impotent. That's why he's like a brahmachari and like stuff like that. It's like really crazy. So he's being a complete rascal. And the other kings, it says they start to, side with him and make some disturbance and also think, how are we going to overthrow the sacrifice? Because due to being Kshatriyas, they're intoxicated with this material opulence and false pride. So they got some pride thinking, I'm so strong, I'm so great, I'm so wealthy. And because of that, they even become either subtly or grossly offenders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking, yeah, why is he being worshipped first? This is an insult to us. We deserve that. Great personalities there when Krishna's there. Such a cultured society. Even, like Jarasandha and all these demons, they're so cultured actually. So these aren't dumb people. Like when Krishna and Bhima and Arjuna go to beg a fight from Maharaj, from Jarasandha. Yeah, Maharaj Jarasandha. they when they're begging a fight from him, Krishna tells him, after they're completely, sorry to use stupid slang, but they're acting a fool when they go to Jarasandha's place. There's a beautiful mountain by Jarasandha's kingdom, and everyone looks up to it and worships it, and they crush the top of the mountain, and then they walk in through the gate of the city that's only meant for Jarasandha. So they're acting up like anything, but still, because they're dressed as renunciants, Jarasandha, he's giving them such nice respect. And then Krishna tells him that these other two I'm with have taken a vow of silence today, and they can't speak until midnight. So Jarasandha says, okay. He gives them a really nice place to stay, has their feet washed, gives them all sorts of accommodations. And then because Jarasandha always gives full attention to the brahmanas when they come to him, and will never miss the opportunity to hear from them when they come to him, he waits up until midnight to go and meet with them and hear what they have to say. So, he didn't wait, okay, yeah, sure, you all can do your thing and I'll see you, at Mangalarti tomorrow morning. He waited till midnight to go and see them and then gives them full attention and the time of day and everything. So these aren't uncultured people. They're not, sure, he's doing all sorts of crazy sinful activities, but they're not like low class, dumb or degraded people in, the ordinary sense of the term. And still, because of their, what is, more powerful than being dumb and degraded and all these things, because they have this false pride, attachment to their material qualities, material opulence. They, just at the inciting of some crazy guy, Shishupal, who's acting like a complete madman, they also start to think, yeah, maybe Krishna doesn't deserve to be worshipped, maybe I deserve to be worshipped, and they start making a big problem. So, those kinds of material qualities, Srila Prabhupada was explaining in the class yesterday, are an intoxication for people in this material world. They become so intoxicated off their material qualities that they forget to worship the Supreme Lord, and everything, their whole life just becomes a big sham about how they can become worshipped instead. But a devotee has all good qualities, and one of them is without inebriation, apramata. They're sober. They're sober-minded. They're not intoxicated with anything in this material world. So that's why we see there's also that rule, no intoxication, that one of the regulative principles, because people are already intoxicated enough in so many ways, It's like, it's explained in the Manu Samhita, it's sinful to look in the mirror and think, I look good. Oh. But people are doing that. I think everyone does. It's not just me, right? It's so embarrassing, right? Because I don't what is it? It's like, we got these ugly bodies that are falling apart, got all these, some whiskers coming out of it and everything. But still, from the time someone's born in America and probably, all over the world too, whenever they walk, there's mirrors all over every house because people, it's even called a vanity mirror. But vanity mirror is sinful. You're going to get some reaction for it. You walk in front of it and think, oh, I'm looking good. So this is an intoxication actually, and it's condemned in the Vedic scriptures, and it's outlawed in the principles that a devotee follows. No intoxication. You can't be intoxicated thinking, I'm so great, I'm so awesome, I've got so much, everything's going to work out just fine. Because the material world, it's not going to work out just fine. It's the place of not working out fine. Krishna explains it's Dukalayam ashashvatam. It's miserable, and you might think, well, it's not so miserable for me because I'm so great. And then well, actually, whatever greatness you have, it's temporary. Whatever you think you can hold on to or secure by are going to be saved uh, via whatever it is. Krishna explains whatever that thing is, it's temporary. So you might think, I'm safe, I'm comfortable, it's gonna work out. It's not. It's gonna whatever's working out is gonna be temporary, and then whatever's nice is gonna the material world is full of misery. So rather than being intoxicated and thinking, I'm okay, I'm really great, this material world is a fine place to stay, a devotee is advised to become sober. They're not intoxicated by anything in this material world, including the body that they're endowed with, or the family they take birth in, or the place they take birth in, or whatever. They're without inebriation, apramata. And then they're actually able to engage in Krishna service because they realize, I'm fully dependent on the Lord. How am I going to make it out of here? This is a horrible place. I completely need the Lord's mercy. Then they're actually able to pray for Krishna's mercy and be engaged in his service. And then they can go from having all these nonsense qualities to having good qualities, the qualities of a devotee. Srila Prabhupada was explaining in this class yesterday that whatever qualities someone has, this Janmaishvarya Shuto Shri, good birth, beauty, strength, it's all zero if it's not engaged in Krishna service. Like we were explaining before, someone's intelligence gets stolen away by material nature, and they write all sorts of nonsense books instead of glorifying the Lord and solving their problems. So their intelligence, zero. Strength, zero. Material wealth and conveniences, zero. Whatever it is, they're all zeros. But then Srila Prabhupada explains, but Krishna is the one. So if you put that one in front of all your nonsense zero, it becomes 10, 100,000, million. And the way he said it was so fired up, and then all the devotees get ecstatic. And he says something else after that, encouraging them to engage in Krishna service, and they just get fired up and go into this like really ecstatic kirtan. So like that, whatever qualities people are getting intoxicated with, it's all zeros. But if they become a little sober-minded, if they become without inebriation, then they can, pray for the mercy of that one Krishna, and then those zeros can become 10, 100,000, all of this. So they can get good qualities. And the other qualities that were here is respectful, manada, is without false prestige, amani, is grave, gambira, is compassionate, karuna, is a friend, maitra, is a poet, kavi, is expert, daksha, is silent, muni. So those are some of the qualities there. I can open it up for any questions, comments, corrections.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your class. That was very ecstatic. Sorry, I was meant to be in a meeting, but then I just had to watch Prabhupada's play it and then a few things. But anyways, really nice point you're mentioning that, like how people think like they envy Krishna and they think they should be worshipped like Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that actually, one aspect of it, another aspect of it, I was also thinking was that the demons are just like that. But is it considered worse when devotees become like that? Because you're in knowledge and you're worshiping the Supreme Personality, or you're worshiping Guru. I'm specifically thinking in terms of Guru, because sometimes you go to your Guru and you're serving him, and then over time you're like preaching and you start becoming a big preacher, and then but all the people that you bring in is going to your Guru, and then they may start getting like envious of the Guru, like, oh, why does he take all the worship? I'm doing all the work on the field. Is that like even worse because it's like that you shouldn't be doing that, or is that kind of the same?
I mean, according to today's purport, it is worse because if a devotee is not behaving properly, it makes a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada said. So if someone's acting like a big rascal, they want to kill the Guru. They want to try to jump over the Guru, I mean, that's the way Srila Prabhupada would explain it. When someone wants to take the position of the spiritual master or get, like more praise, he would often give that analogy, different analogies to show that, that's wanting to kill the Guru. There's some sort of saying or something where you like
kill Guru, become Guru, something like that.
Yeah, you kill the Guru and like push him aside and then sit on the Vyasana, now you're the Guru. So like that, if someone's acting envious, or whatever it is, I don't know yeah, I guess you could say that's definitely envious, but they're acting in this
Mm.
crazy way that's making a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because then others, they also don't, it messes up others' chance to take to devotional service. Because then their whole big show of being the big Guruji is going to attract others who also want to be the big Guruji and also want to not actually accept a guru but just want to kill the guru. So then you just got this whole sham of a materialist cultivating other materialists. So in that way, it's
Mm.
making a scar on the Supreme Lord because it's messing up the opportunity for devotional service, not just in their life, but for others.
It seems that, anyways, kind of taking that analogy and one personality that's kind of pushing forwards like certain things. It's just like Krishna says in that Bhagavad Gita that those who don't follow the Vedic culture or the path of the Vedas, it's where there's a verse like that in the Bhagavad Gita that one should
Yeah,
follow this. I'm not able to completely recite it, but anyways, it just kind of reminds me of like a person who is going against a lot of Prabhupada's teaching and a lot of Vedic culture. Just like I was hearing this person say that we don't, why is it that we don't allow stitched clothes on the altar? Like it's just a superstition. It's just a thing that people just was
it's
some
Harry
written.
Potter.
Yeah, or it was written in some book in Sanskrit, and therefore, and it was propagated, and therefore we just accept it. I have not heard a single scientific reason why we can't wear stitched clothes on the altar, because Prabhupada did it, and that's what he says. And then so many other things about Vedic culture, he misleads people and makes them question, because unless you have a very clear understanding and you're giving people very clear knowledge, if you start to doubt the Vedic literatures even a little bit, then people lose faith in the Vedic literatures. So he
I
doesn't,
think,
uh,
sorry. Sorry,
yeah,
no,
because he doesn't give an understanding why the Sri Vaishnava, he says, oh, why do we do it? But the Sri Vaishnavas do it, the Madhvas do it. All these other lines of Vaishnavas have been doing it for thousands of years. And then you're saying, no, we don't have to do it because why? Because it was some written in some Sanskrit. Just like no idea of tradition. And one another nice devotee, he was criticizing his personality, saying, you know, you're saying that you care about Prabhupada, but where is your neck beads that Prabhupada instructed us to keep on our neck all the time? Where is the dress that Srila Prabhupada gave to you? Where is all of this? And you're saying you want to follow Prabhupada and that that certain people are misrepresenting Prabhupada or not understanding Prabhupada. Where's the basic culture and thing that Prabhupada gave us? Why are you not exhibiting that? But anyways, it's just like it's that same principle of, and Guru is Bhakti Vikas Maharaj is making that point of this personality about that, it's just like going against all of the Acharya's teachings. It's the same. It's like kill a guru, become guru. You kill the guru's teachings, and then that doubts everything else he said. So, anyways.
I have that verse I think you were mentioning, Bhagavad Gita 16:23, Yashastra vidhim utsraja
Yeah.
vartate mamakarataha nasasadhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination.
Yeah, and they lead everyone else down to the same platform. Once somebody that's regarded as some sort of teacher, and they start to doubt the Vedic literatures, and then everyone else, because they're so after sense gratification, they don't want to do it. Yeah, I want to wear my pants on the altar. What's the problem? Why does it say I can't wear stitched clothes on the altar? Why can't I wear my, karmi pants? What's the problem? It's just like, anyways, they don't, yeah.
No class.
And someone might think also that, well, after you read all the qualities of a devotee is like, there's all those things. He's like peaceful and calm and nice. It's like qualities that sound like that. He's very sweet. It kind of sounds like that, after you read it. So then they might think, well, how can you call others out, or say that other stuff is wrong? And in the purport it said, you should be careful not to offend other devotees. But we also see that what a devotee's qualities are, you can see the behavior of Krishna's devotees in regards to when the Vedic principles are compromised, or like the Vedic literatures are blasphemed, or when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is blasphemed. In that same occurrence that I was reading recently, where Shishupal is making all those offenses at the Rajasuya sacrifice, afterwards, there's many respectable people there, but afterwards, Sahadev? Yeah, I think afterwards Sahadev, he stands up and he's saying that if anyone like wants to agree with Shishupal or whatever, then you can come against me right now and I'll put my foot on your head. And he doesn't only say, but he's saying this to the whole audience, and there are there's all sorts of kings and respectable people. And he doesn't just say it, but then after he says it, he puts his foot up and shows it to everybody.
Who wants mercy?
And then he says, if anyone has any problem with what I'm saying or thinks there's any fault in it, speak up now. So it's not just like Shishupal on the line, but he's also putting himself out there saying, if I'm making any offense or saying something wrong, then speak up. And no one says anything, and instead the demigods shower flowers, because they're saying, the demigods were saying, this is actually the proper way one should respond when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is blasphemed. That's a cultured individual right there. That personality is sticking his foot up to everyone in the audience.
Who did that?
Sahadev, I believe.
Sahadev, that's
I'm pretty sure.
One of the Pandavas.
I'm pretty sure it was Sahadev, or one of the other allies who begins with the S. But I think it was Sahadev. And then also you hear Bhishma, after the Bhishma gets insulted a lot, and then he starts going off too. And he's, calling people out and saying some similar things, like, I'll step on your heads too. And it's like, but these are actually great devotees and great personalities. So when the Supreme Lord is blasphemed, or the Vedic literatures are blasphemed, someone should speak out against it, and speak out against it strongly. It's described, I think, in Nectar of Instruction. It's described that when the Lord or his devotees, or Shastra's blasphemed, the devotee then acts like fire against the antagonist. So it's supposed to be, intense,
cut his tongue
critical. Yeah, there's those injunctions too.
Is it tongue out, leave the place.
There's that when a devotee's
kill yourself,
blasphemed, yeah.
If you can't defeat him in an argument, then kill yourself. That's Mary saying this,
bro. Just one more thing, because this is so heavy actually. Like, it's quite a heavy time in the world actually, if you kind of like understand what's going on within devotional society and outside of devotional society. It's a pretty crazy time, and it's that same verse, that Shastra, that one who doesn't follow the injunctions of Shastra, they neither happiness in this life or the next. And you see that within our movement with the FDG, which is about to basically throw everything off and bring ISKCON to a upper sampradaya. That's what it's going to become. There's this nice scholarly devotee. He makes this point. He says in Krishna that this ISKCON society, if it allows FDGs, is going to be upper sampradaya. And then there was a few other the prakrita, and one more thing he was mentioning, that and his deviation, so that it becomes like completely against Shastra. And then he'd go giving quotes and quotes and quotes from like, this different Padma Purana, different Shastra, just showing that it's very clearly said in the Shastra that a woman cannot become a guru. And all of this, and then you see like that's going on in our movement, and then this nonsense with all this Epstein files and that crazy situation in the world, and it's just like important for our devotees to kind of keep their head on, because you like Mukunda Dattapur was saying that one person loses it, then the whole generation loses it. You lose a whole generation of devotees. Anyways, yeah, it's just they become envious of Guru, or they forget the Guru. They forget that the only reason they exist and have any sort of significance to them is because of Srila Prabhupada. And they forget that now I'm a scholar. Now I'm like a Harvard scholar. Great. It's like they forget that. Krishna, pray to Krishna that we never forget our own position, but it happens in different ways like that, or as a big preacher. But anyways, sorry, I'm going on. But
I don't know if you heard about this. There's a group of people. Oh, sorry, you guys.
Yeah, it's
Goes on this
related
point,
to
go
it.
ahead.
Anyways, it's really interesting you talk about the 26 qualifications of a devotee, because I was just thinking that by establishing Varnashram Dharma, it can really help. Not just by establishing the qualities of a devotee, but just what to speak of a devotee, like having the qualities of a human being. Because you were talking about Jarasandha, and like he was a cultured person, but there's actually a difference between like someone who's like low class and someone who's just like outright a demon. And because even low class uncultured people have respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I mean, because in Canto 7, Prahlad Maharaj, he actually talks about the qualities of, he says these are general principles to be followed by all human beings,
Yeah.
like even Shudras. I don't know if this includes like Chandalas because they're outside of Varnashram.
What is it?
This is Canto 7, chapters.
Oh, he gives the
11.
qualities of devotee.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just the human beings.
of
Of
humans.
human beings.
And it's really interesting because when you hear it, it sounds a lot like the qualities of a devotee.
Mm.
Because and if you don't mind, it's just like not that long. He said these are the general principles to be followed by all human beings: truthfulness, mercy, austerity, in parentheses, observing fasts on certain days of the month, bathing twice a day, tolerance, discrimination between right and wrong, control of the mind, control of the senses, nonviolence, celibacy, charity, reading of scripture, simplicity, satisfaction, rendering service to saintly persons, gradually taking leave of unnecessary engagements, observing the futility of the unnecessary activities of human society, remaining silent and grave and avoiding unnecessary talk, considering whether one is the body or the soul, distributing food equally to all living entities, both men and animals, seeing every soul, especially in the human form, as a part of the Supreme Lord, hearing about the activities and instructions given by the Supreme Person of Godhead, who is the shelter of the saintly persons, chanting about these activities and instructions, always remembering these activities and instructions, trying to render service, performing worship, offering obeisances, becoming a servant, becoming a friend, and surrendering one's whole self. O King Yudhishthira, these 30 qualities must be acquired in the human form of life.
Wow.
Simply by acquiring these qualifications, one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
You said Prahlad Maharaj speaking that?
Oh, wait, no, actually, no.
Yudhishthira.
Yudhishthira. Yeah, my bad.
No, someone's speaking it to
No.
Yudhishthira. You said, oh,
Yeah.
King Yudhishthira.
Who is
Narada
this?
Muni.
Narada Muni.
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
Yeah, Narada Muni. So I was just thinking, like, even, like, he wasn't, he was actually worse than, like, someone who's, like, a Shudra, because one of the things is to give respect, proper respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, So, anyways, by establishing Varnashram Dharma, all these things become, because you how can you, to develop qualities of even devotee if like you're just like puffed up and like by nature the Varnashram thing, you recognize that there's people greater than you, that there's a God, that there's Brahmanas and those things, but without Varnashram, how can even our own people in our ISKCON movement begin to develop good qualities? Because everyone thinks, like going back to the
all the
FDG
same.
thing, it's all the same. We're all devotees, and so I should be a FDG. I should be a devotee. And anyone could be a guru because we're all transcendental. And it just leads to this puffed up conception, which completely impedes on. It removes all good qualities. Like these people don't have any good qualities. And that's why they're against Varnashram Dharma, which is how you get,
Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishti.
yeah. So it's like you don't even know what's right or wrong. Like we as devotees don't even know like Dharma. We don't even. That's one of the qualities of a human being. What's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, those are like deep qualities.
These are like insane qualities to have as a human being.
Yeah.
And we can't even do that. It's like, so it's like we should really like establish Varnashram Dharma.
Yeah.
It's like just see, it's like crazy.
Yeah, and then like people like they don't have good qualities, and I was on this YouTube page of they were talking about the whole like FDG thing, and one powerful Mataji was commenting on YouTube how Prabhupada's, there's a whole movement, I don't know y'all knew this, but they want to annotate Prabhupada's books. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They want to annotate Prabhupada's books because they say that there's certain things that need to be understood in context. And she said, for example, Prabhupada says that women are less intelligent. But then she quotes something. Well, Prabhupada says, oh, when women do book distribution, they're just as qualified as men to preach. So she said, Prabhupada says when women preach, they're just as qualified. So when what Prabhupada is really saying, women are less intelligent, is that is that Karmi women are less intelligent, but not devotees. And so she was like, we had to explain this in Prabhupada's books. And it's crazy because it's like you have people, as Avi is saying, who have no good qualifications, wanting to annotate a Mahabhagavat.
That's crazy.
This is a Mahabhagavat,
Yeah.
and they want to comment. They pretty much their own commentaries on what things that they think they know what Prabhupada is meaning by his statements. And it's really
Well,
crazy.
Prabhupada said that his type was write commentaries to his commentaries.
Yeah, so but then it's crazy. But these people think they have good qualifications. It's clear as day. Prabhupada like she's like we should make distinctions, and she was making a point like we should make distinctions between Karmi women and Vaishnavis because they're different. And it's like the thing was with Prabhupada, like he made it pretty clear. He made it pretty clear Prabhupada's
Well,
books.
what's funny is like you look through Chaitanya Charitamrita and how the women were in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you look at, I mean, you just look through. Yeah, it's kind of beautiful. This is why, anyway, it kind of just proves the point that women are less intelligent. But
Exactly.
you know, it's like there's two things. The only Brahmanas are meant to comment, not
Yeah, exactly.
just give me some person.
Yeah.
They're meant to be highly scholarly, like devotees like Mukunda Datta Prabhu, and then there's this whole scholar committee that's there to meant to do all that. It's what's interesting is if I went to that. Thank you for sending that, Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu. I went through some of those videos, and what's interesting is that who was saying that Mukunda Datta Prabhu left the GBC. I think Guru Maharaj was saying that, or somebody else was saying that. They left the GBC. 3 people have left the GBC because the scholars have disagreed with the decisions they've made, and they give like an understanding, and then they just dismiss it. Like those who are in the board, they just dismiss the opinion and the study of the scholars that they've undergone because they have an agenda. They have a political agenda towards the whole thing. And so it's just run by a bunch of Shudras. So it's just, it's not going to have any, they're all dependent on their feelings. Oh, my feeling, we don't want to hurt their feelings. We want to, all inclusive. What they want to, anyways, it's like a demoniac sort of thing that they're not really situated properly. So they won't take the advice of Brahmanas. And we see throughout the Bhagavatam or in Vedic literature, what happens when you don't take this advice of Brahmanas? You bring ruin, you bring ruin upon yourself because you deflected instruction of the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's who the Brahmanas are.
That's really crazy. Just see.
If I could, one of the things I think Guru Maharaj in his response to that, that 5 different videos I think it was spanned over us. It was on that point we see that principle being extended to it's not just unqualified people who are, they're taking their own feelings and they're running with that, and they're not qualified maybe to make decisions. But then you're also seeing one of the points Guru Maharaj made is that he's like, why are we bringing in polls? Why are you taking polls on this matter? Like, you're asking people who are not scholarly, who are not qualified, who are not well versed in Shastra, who aren't like at all fit to give an opinion on whether or not there should be, female Diksha gurus. And then it's completely total like nonsense. It's like you have people who don't need to give an opinion on the matter, but they're thinking that they're qualified to. And it's ridiculous. And it's that same thing, not recognizing who's actually fit to guide on the basis of Shastra. When that's missed, it's just like it all becomes nonsense. I was gonna make one other comment just on one of the points you made to Rsi-Kumar Prabhu about it was you brought up animal killing pretty early on because this correspondence between
Christian.
Or I guess Christian. That was one of the I know, like, every time generally when I heard of like King Puranjana, it's always in relation to the pitfalls of like being with women, or just like being too engrossed in sense gratification and being like carried away by that attraction. But one of the main reasons also that Narada Muni gives this allegorical story is because of that animal killing that he was committing, and he makes it really clear that devotees are quite disturbed upon witnessing such activity. Prabhupada also says directly in the purports. Let me pull this up. I wanted to read directly from it. It was just a small bit. It wasn't long, but he basically makes a point that it's like even when it's sanctioned in the Vedas, it's specifically for those who are affected by the mode of ignorance. And that's basically what Narada Muni was trying to protect King Puranjana from. It's like because he's like you're just gonna glide down further and further. Let me say this. Narada Muni wanted to prove to King Prachina Parishat that the king was being influenced by the Tamagun, the quality of ignorance, even though the king was supposed to be very religious. Animal killing is certainly conducted under the influence of the mode of ignorance. Even though one may be religiously inclined, animal sacrifice is recommended in the Shastras, not only in the Vedas, but even in modern scriptures of other sects. These animal sacrifices are recommended in the name of religion, but actually animal sacrifice is meant for persons in the mode of ignorance. When such people kill animals, they can at least do so in the name of religion. However, when that religious system is transcendental like the Vaishnava religion, there's no place for such animal sacrifice. So anyway, so just small it on that.
Thank you. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai. Srimad Bhagavatam
Jai.
ki jai.
Is Chandra Prabhu in